Oh my God, what is going on in here?
Well,
John, what are you doing? It's the middle of the night.
but I'll burn it all off in the morning. I'm a cyclist. I think we can all agree that Pajama Man, the poor, pathetic person who was raiding the refrigerator in the previous clip, I think we can all agree that he is more to be pitied than to be despised. But sadly, we all share that same delusion to a certain extent that we can cycle our way out of our bad dietary habits, that we can eat more because we put in those miles. But it's not true. You can't outride your fork.
The generic geriatric cyclist. Episode 7. Weight loss for mature cyclists.
First, I want to point out the anomaly that cycling is the only sport that requires you to eat while you're performing it. You'll never see a center fielder running down a fly ball with a hot dog in his hand, or you'll never see a point guard dribbling down the court with a sandwich in his other hand. You're equally unlikely to see football players downing coffee and pastries at halftime. But cyclists do. We're all susceptible to diet and exercise fads because we're all looking for an instant, easy way to lose weight and get in shape and solve a problem instantly that took years to develop. This has led to some diet and exercise fads that when we look through our rearview mirror seem comical, but were dead serious at the time.
Like eating bile beans. Or eating tapeworms. Or smoking cigarettes for weight loss. And how about smoking to be a better athlete?
It sure sounds that people were awfully gullible in the past.
But here's a current ad for vaping for weight loss.
People haven't changed. The same goes for exercise equipment. The miracle road to the perfect physique.
I don't even know what this is. I don't know what this is either. We know what this is, but it's just too silly to consider. This also looked pretty silly when it was on TV almost non-stop a few decades ago. But it's still selling.
Almost every kid from our baby boomer generation had the best piece of exercise equipment that was ever invented. The bicycle.
It might have looked like this. Mine looked something like this.
And if you're a bit younger than me, it might have looked like this. It was so much fun that we weren't even aware that we were exercising. People like me, and almost assuredly people like you, because you're watching this, are really lucky that we can use the same equipment that we used when we were children to have fun and exercise, even now in our second childhood. Now, if we could only learn to curb our appetites. I gained about 30 pounds during the pandemic. And during the lockdown, for the first 3 or 4 months, all I wore were elastic waist pants and hung out in the house. So after, when I put on a regular pair of pants with a normal waistband, I thought, these pants were sitting in the closet for the past 3 months. How did they shrink? I'm sure that that's a realization that thousands, if not millions of people came to during the lockdown, where we became locked in our little cells, snacking, watching TV, just hanging out and not accomplishing all that much physically. I rode the trainer for about 5 hours a week, but that's all I did other than walk to the refrigerator. Weight loss can be tough at any age, but as we get older, it gets even tougher. After the age of 70, we lose weight without doing anything. The bad news is that it's only a few ounces and it comes from our muscles atrophying. The second piece of bad news is that for decades now, we've been losing muscle. That's just part of the aging process. Overall, our metabolism's slow as we age. And a recent event, being in lockdown for a year, watching television and not doing a whole lot of anything, can also have a disastrous effect on your weight, as it did on mine. I'd like to chalk that up to being a good husband, because my wife's hobby is baking, and I just couldn't insult her by not eating everything she baked like it was my last meal ever. So I'd be the last person to tell you how to lose weight. I'm not an authority on that. If I were, I would be at least 30 pounds lighter than I am now. I'm going to have to read them because there are too many to remember. You can feel free to use Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Atkins, South Beach, Intermittent Fasting, Keto, Noom. Lose it. I just want to caution you that today's miracle diet can be tomorrow's disaster. In the 80s and 90s, the experts in the field recommended a high carbohydrate, low fat diet. And I jumped right on that bandwagon. People remarked at how good I was being by following that diet and how healthy I must be. And I was one of the people who were a victim of those dietary recommendations. About 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So now I'll tell you how I'm going to try to lose weight with a combination of cutting back food intake and cycling more. Two of the apps I use for cycling, Strava and Zwift, calculate my calorie burning through cycling at about 500 per hour on a moderately hard effort. Let's just say I burn 500 calories a day for 7 hours in a week, and then I've burned up 3,500 calories, which coincidentally is the calorie deficit you need to lose a pound of weight. So all things being equal, I should just go and lose a pound every week without changing my diet. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. Cycling can make you ravenously hungry. You have to be very careful about how much you eat. It's not a license for gluttony. The other thing is that after an hour and a half to 2 hours of riding, your body will run out of the stored glycogen in your liver, and you will have no energy to keep you going. It's a very unpleasant feeling. It's called the bonk, or bonking. So after about an hour and a half of riding, you have to start replacing those lost calories with carbohydrates that are fast acting that you carry along with you on your ride. That can amount to anywhere from 150 to 300 calories per hour. So in essence, we're not coming up with the calorie deficit that we'd like to see at the end of that long ride. This is just the way things are, and we have to accept them that way. Knowing that, we have to reduce our overall calories, our food intake every day. I sound like a relic of the past talking about calories. Everybody else has looked for ways around it. No, it's not as simple as the third law of thermodynamics or whatever. It's much more complicated, but this way actually does work and can work over the long period of time. Experience has shown that when I'm at my worst, I consume about 20 to 30% of my daily caloric intake after supper. If I could just be more successful with moderating that. Anyway, that's what I'll be doing, and we can come back as time goes by to see if it's successful or not, or if I'm gorging myself on energy bars. So bye, that's it for now. I'll be back next time for episode 8, which will be my goals and aspirations for the coming cycling season. Hope to see you then. I just reviewed the video I made earlier today about my diet, and it seemed like, wow, that guy is really pessimistic. Ooh, what a downer. You're going to turn everybody off to riding the bicycle and turning everybody off to trying to lose weight. My God. Then I came back from a nice bike ride on a 65-degree, beautiful sunny day with very little wind. It was just perfect, perfect conditions. And now my head is all flooded with good neurotransmitters and oxygen and everything, and the world looks a little different. It's not going to be that bad. It'll be easy, almost easy, but it'll be sort of fun. So with that, I say goodbye to you and have a good time until I see you again.